Are you seriously going to eat, you fat blibbity blabbity blob? I mean, some of you might be like,
Continue.
why would I want to start this?
Sensitive. She's sensitive.
You are listening to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast, where we share stories that are, you guessed it, unscripted.
That's the thing, this journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't really
right?
end. We have a general sense of the topic each episode, but really the whole point is just to show up and be authentic and let our inner child speak its truth. And I have continued to work through that story of constantly hearing, well, we don't want, got a hot dog on our hands. Yeah, guess what, Mr. Sabatsky, you do. So I'm so excited that you are here, and it is my hope that you hear yourself somewhere in the story so that way you can feel seen and heard as well. So let's start talking. Welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast. I am coming to you today with another channeled message, but this time from the comforts of my apartment versus my paddleboard like I was last week. And it is so wild to me because I was out on the lake on my paddleboard in 50-degree weather last Sunday. Fast forward a week, and now we have maybe 8 to 10 inches of snow outside. So welcome to Wisconsin. Oh, I guess that is what you get. But that gives me time to hunker down and get this message out to you. And all week, I knew I was going to do another channeled message, and I was trusting that it was going to come to me. And believe it or not, it was when I reached into my bathrobe that I knew exactly what the message was supposed to be today. And it happened so fast and it was so clear, I almost had to laugh at myself. I don't understand why my brain works this way, where I immediately find a life lesson in the smallest things, like an earbud. And for those of you that know me, you know I could write an entire book on all of the adventures my earbuds have taken over the years and how I have lost them many times, and my intuition has guided me to the garbage can, to a parking lot, to a Hy-Vee grocery store to find them. It's a thing. And I will get to that story here in just a bit. And then I had another download happen last night, and I was like, oh, I gotta add that to the podcast. And so buckle up because we're going to go for a little ride. But first, I do want to get to something that happened right before I sat down to record today. Seriously, this stuff does not stop. But before I do that, I want to share some of the very exciting things that we got going on at F45. For those of you that are looking for a way to take care of yourself over these next few months, because we know this is one of the hardest times. This is the time that we tend to abandon ourselves and our self-care the most. And that is when you need to anchor into it the most. Because, again, coming from an inner child perspective, when would be the worst time to abandon your inner child, you think? Probably around the holidays? Yeah, probably. Because they're already feeling very triggered, likely. Because even though we want to say happy holidays, for a lot of you, the holidays bring up some really deep emotions. Maybe bring up some pain, maybe bring up some sadness. And it could just be because maybe your family isn't all together. Maybe you lost a parent or a sibling, or the holidays just don't feel the same. Or when you go back for the holidays, it brings up all of these things because people still expect you to be who you were and all this stuff. And so the holidays are actually really, really complicated. And so this is the time when you actually need to anchor into yourself the most. This is when your inner child needs you the most. Because not only are they going to get triggered by all the other things going on, they will get massively triggered when you abandon them. And so how does this all tie into F45? I'll always find a way. Because it's doing something for you. It's 45 minutes where you are tending to you. You are carving out time for you. You are saying, I am worthy of this time, of this energy, of the support, of feeling good, and I'm going to make it happen. And if this is the one thing I do for myself today, by God darn it, I'm going to do it. And so to make that easier for all of you, we have some really sweet promos going on right now. You can buy 1 month and get 1 month free, which is a pretty awesome deal. And so use this now. Anchor into December now. I know you're like, this is the worst time to start a fitness routine. No, it's not. Again, this is when you need it most. So why not come somewhere where people are going to greet you in the morning and motivate you and support you and help you leave feeling a million times better than when you walked in the door. That's what we do there. It's not just a workout. We do really cool things. And so you get really anchored in December. You've already got a head start on the whole January thing. And again, that's a powerful message to your inner child that he or she doesn't have to wait for it to be convenient to take care of them, to take care of you. They don't have to wait for everything else to clear off the calendar, that you're a priority now. So make your inner child a priority now. Anchor into that while everything else is going crazy and chaotic over the holiday season. So I will put the link in here for that. That is good until the 31st of December, and you can get started whenever you want to get started. So you have to purchase it before the 31st, but then you can activate it whenever you're ready. I highly recommend that you activate it sooner than later, because then you can let me and all these other people support you and motivate you and encourage you. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to find the willpower in your basement or drive into the gym and doing the same old workouts and you're doing it by yourself and it's no fun. We have fun there. We dance and do fun, silly things, or you can just let it be. I love when I can see someone coming in and I can tell they're working through some shit that day. I'm like, oh, I got you. I got you. And there's just something to that. So wherever you're at, we can meet you there and give you exactly what you need in that moment. That is the gift of being able to read energy. I got you. Or if you do have a good fitness routine going on, but you just want to change it up or you just want to come and have fun, we have a 10-class pack that is 30% off. That is through the 5th. So if you were watching this on the 2nd, you got 3 days to get yourself that 30% off on that class pack, which is a steal of a deal. Because typically it's $229 for 10 classes, which is pretty standard for a drop-in class really anywhere around town. And now you can get that like $16 for a drop-in class, which again is a steal of a deal. Normally they're $25, $30 per class. So get yourself that, and then you can come hang out with me on a Saturday, or we do some Saturday shenanigans, or whenever you just need to change it up and have some fun. So, all right, that is my F45 spiel for you. So I'm getting ready to sit down today to record this. I already know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm sitting down and I was just kind of in a weird energy. It was great when the kids were here this morning, and then they usually leave at 9. And then I was just really quiet and really somber. And it's normal for me to not talk to anyone on Sundays after the kids leave. I generally want it that way. No offense to any of you. It's my day. It's my day to connect with myself. It's my day to connect with spirit, all of those things. And I went to sauna and came back, and I'm still just like really in this quiet, I don't know. I couldn't really pinpoint the energy. I couldn't really describe it. So I sat down to hit record, and I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden I stand up and I think to myself, I should maybe play some music just to help shift my energy. And then I walk in to my bedroom to grab my phone so I can listen to some music, and no joke, I see a text from my niece, Jaden. Oh, and she says, thinking of you while listening to this song this morning, and she sends me a song. I am not joking. That literally happened. I should play a song. Walk in, boom, here's your song. So the song is called New Wine. And yeah. and my niece is something special. She found God a few years ago, and it completely changed her life in every possible way. And so I love having conversations with her. We actually sat on the couch for Thanksgiving and we were just kind of sharing with her the things that are going on in my life and the struggles and all of the lessons and all of the things, and hearing things from her perspective and the things that she's going through as well it was really beautiful. And I'm so grateful to have that relationship with my niece. And so when she sent me this song, like, it's God working through her to get to me. And when I listened to this, I was like, great, now I'm going to have to redo my eye makeup because it got me. It got me good. And I'll put the link here to the full song because I'm certainly not going to try to sing it. And I don't want to play it and I don't get into some trouble with copyright or something. But it's called New Wine. And it says, in the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In this soil, I now surrender. You are breaking new ground, so I yield to you and to your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me your vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. And it just keeps repeating that. Because then it says, because where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry your fire today. So make me your vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. And man, isn't that what these last few weeks of channel messages has been about? Clearing away these old timelines, clearing away these old limiting beliefs, and waiting for something new. And last week I talked about that full surrender and just apparently having to get sick and gaining 14 pounds and getting a double eye infection and all the ways that I really resisted surrendering. But knowing that it was for that and knowing that in that full surrender, I just like, make what you want of me. Make me a vessel, make me a channel. And that's what I'm doing here today, is channeling these messages that came through for me this week in hopes that they find who they need to reach. And that may not be for all of you. Again, sometimes these messages will land and they will hit you right when they need to hit you. And I trust that that will happen. And you never know. Again, maybe it's future influence. Maybe it's going to hit you in a week or two from now. And you're like, oh, that's what Tami was talking about. Now I see it. Because that's the case for me as well. Sometimes something will happen and it won't be until days or weeks or months later when you're like, oh my gosh, like all of a sudden the dots are connected. And so be open to that. If something doesn't resonate right away, just be curious. Like, okay, I obviously press play for a reason. So I'll trust that when I'm fully ready for the download, I'll receive it. And so I just love that message also came through literally from my niece, and she listened to that nudge that she got to send that to me because it was exactly what I needed to hear before sitting down to share this message with all of you. So thank you, Jaden. I love you. So the first little download that I got this week, and I have to backtrack a little bit to set up the story because I teach through stories. So again, I know this exact story is not going to resonate with you, but I need you to look deeper. I need you to feel deeper. I need you to get curious about how these messages translate for you. I need you to listen to the nudges and to the lumps in your throat and all of those things, the goosebumps, because I know there's a reason that I'm sharing these things. So if you take the story literally, you're going to miss it. So anyway, I got my earbuds in and listening to whatever. And the last time I remember having my earbuds in was when I was going to F45 to coach last Saturday. And I remember seeing my buddy Logan in the window and I was starting to take him out. So when I got in the door, I could say hi and hear him. And so I remember taking them out then. Okay. Then fast forward, I don't know when it was the next time that I was reaching for my earbuds later that day or whenever it was. And there was only one. I'm like, well, that's weird. And again, this is not the first time I have lost my earbuds. And it kind of became this funny story that I use them as intuitive little tests. It's like, okay, I'll lose it. I was like, okay, intuition, guide me to the earbud. Because this has happened, it's no joke, like 10 times, maybe even more, where I have found them in the most random places where all of a sudden I just happen to look and boom, there it is. In the craziest spots. Like I said, there was one time it's like, you should check the garbage. And sure enough, I threw it away with Arlo's lunch. There it was, sitting on top. So anyway, but that's not what this one felt like. I didn't treat it as the same little test, and I'm not exactly sure why. Because when I tried to retrace my steps in the last time that I had it, I could have swore I was walking into F45. That was the story that I told myself, and I was convinced. So the next Monday comes around, and I'm coaching that morning. I get out of my car. I'm looking all around the ground because I would find it there. That has happened to me before, where I have randomly found it in a parking lot, or I had to drive back to a grocery store that was run over in the bakery department. Okay, you get the point. This has happened to me quite a bit. But anyway, I'm convinced that that's where, if I lost it, that's where it had to be. Maybe it fell out of my coat pocket. So I'm going to F45. I'm looking on the ground. I'm looking all around the doorway and the entryway. I don't see it. And so I, for whatever reason, just kind of surrendered to the fact that I'm not going to find this thing. And I have learned through my earbud saga to not buy really expensive earbuds because I have lost 2 in the lake. One of them I hated anyway, so it actually did me a favor because they kept popping out and I should have known better. But anyway, so these were like $8 earbuds. So they work, right? So I wasn't too bent out of shape about losing this thing. But it was also interesting to me that even though they're $8, I could have easily purchased new ones right away. But I didn't because I was just rocking one earbud all week. I was like, this is fine. Whatever, it works. I can still hear things. So I literally had one earbud in all week when I'm at the gym and I was just walking around the apartment and listening to my one earbud. And then the other night I had gotten out of the shower. I went to the sauna later. And so I'm in my bathrobe and I'm just walking around and I'm in a very kind of chill, trying to wind down kind of energy. I reached into my bathrobe for whatever reason. I had nothing that I had put in there to reach in there, but all of a sudden I put my hand in my left pocket and there she was, my other earbud. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This was in here this whole time. And what's funny enough is generally that's the first place I look. When I lose an earbud, I usually look in my bathrobe because that's oftentimes I'm walking around in the morning and then, I'm changing or whatever. I found them many times in my bathrobe, but it didn't even occur to me to look there this time because I was so convinced it was somewhere else. I was so convinced it happened outside in the parking lot. So I didn't even open myself up to other possibilities and things that would have made sense because I was so tunnel vision. I'm like, nope. I had convinced myself of that story, so I missed all of the other opportunities to then go look for this thing. And I knew immediately what the message was. And this is where you guys are like, wow, Tami. Even ChatGPT was like, wow, Tami. Like, this is right in line with your unscripted healing theme, is that you're creating a major life lesson out of earbud. I'm like, yes, that's how I roll. Because I actually put it in. I'm like, am I making this shit up? Is this? And it was like, it's very much you, but you're not wrong. And so I'm like, here I am. Now I'm going with it. So I got a little validation from chat that I was spot on about what this analogy meant. And that when we think about childhood conditioning and trauma and wounds and these old beliefs, what it does is it narrows our field of vision. Those things can keep us searching for where we think this wound is, where we expect this problem to be, when that's not actually where it is. And we miss these things. We're looking for love and safety and validation and closure in the same way, in the same old places, driven by this same old programming. And what came through so clearly is that sometimes the thing we're looking for is literally in our pocket. It is literally in our pocket, but our story blinds us to it. So what is that for you? What is that thing that is right there in your pocket? But because you're still telling yourself the same old story, you're still repeating the same old patterns, you're still getting triggered by the same old wounds, that you keep missing it. And it's right there in front of you. It's literally right there in your pocket. And for a lot of you that are watching, it is your gift, your purpose. It's right there, but we can't even see it. We can't even entertain the idea that it could be right there waiting for you to get quiet, to slow down, to consider other possibilities. And it's been right there all along. Because again, maybe you're in that same relationship, that same career, the same dynamics with your friends, with your family, with whatever, that you end up repeating that story over and over and over again. And you convince yourself of this story. Well, this is the way it's always been. This is the way it's got to be. When that's not true. Which then gets me to my second point of this earbud, is that I was settling. I was settling for half an earbud. Where in your life are you settling for half? Well, I'll just take what I can get. No, I don't want to be disappointed again, so I guess this is okay. So when we think about this parallel, where are you settling for half love, half truce, half connections, half dreams, half partnerships? And why don't you feel worthy of more? Again, childhood wounds. And when you start to think about this in terms of your marriage or your partnerships or your career, where are you settling? Where maybe that person isn't meeting you halfway. Maybe it's not fulfilling you, but well, it's the paycheck. Like, well, I made those vows, but deep down, there's a part of you that's slowly dying inside. Your soul is slowly dying inside because it's screaming that there's more and that you deserve more. You don't have to settle for half-ass effort from anyone. And you certainly shouldn't be settling it from yourself. So where in your life are you settling for half, or just settling in general? And you found a way, your ego's found a way to rationalize why it's okay, because it knows that if you find out otherwise, it's going to require change. And that change could, again, require a job transition. It could mean a divorce. It could mean a complete life change, a complete identity change. And it's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're okay with settling. Are you? If you were to straight up sit down and ask your soul, like, are you okay with life as it is right now? Are you okay with how this marriage is running? Are you okay with this career? Are you okay with the stress that you come home with every day? Are you okay with the relationship you have with your kids? Really, soul? Talk to me. Are you okay with it? And I want you to really sit with that, and I want you to listen. Because I'm pretty sure if you're anything like me, your soul is like, hell no! I've been trying to tell you that. I've been trying to tell you that for years. That I'm not okay with this. That I don't want to settle for this. And I'm sick of your ego running the show, trying to protect you from this fear of change, this fear of rejection, this fear of whatever. I'm sick of it. Stop settling for half-ass effort, half-ass love, half-ass truce, half-ass fulfillment. Stop it. We got one life right now here. Why are we settling for anything? Because to me, where some people can think that sounds selfish, I don't see it that way at all anymore. Because I know when I am in that energy, I am vibrating so much higher, which that is good for all. When we raise the vibration of our own energy, it raises the vibration of people around us, to the planet in general. Like, that is a good thing. We need to be elevating the frequency of this freaking planet. And you can only do that by elevating it for yourself. But if you stay stuck in these low vibrational energies because you're settling, you're not contributing to that. And you're going to come to the end of your days and be like, what the hell did I do that for? Who was I living my life for? And it's like, when is that going to get through to some of you? Trust me, it took... I'm saying that because I know how long it took for me. And I don't want it to take that long for some of you. And these channeled messages are to hopefully help light that little fire or turn on that flashlight and be like, you don't have to do this alone. It's okay what you're going through. It's normal what you're going through. You're going through this for a reason because you have been called to stop settling, to stop playing small. But are you going to answer that call and realize that that may mean that you have to stop settling and that you're going to have to start telling yourself a new story? So the other little lesson that came through with this missing earbud is that I noticed my energy around it when I found it, and that I was very calm, I was very chill, I was very peaceful. I wasn't frantically looking around for this thing. I wasn't stressing about it all week. I let it go. I'm like, well, whatever. I could have easily went and bought myself another pair, but for some reason I didn't, because intuitively God's like, just don't order anything yet. You're going to find it later in your pocket and you're going to turn it into a podcast. So hold up. So I did. I listened. Because the last time this happened, I went and bought a new pair immediately because I'm like, again, my $8 pairs. But this time I didn't. And I found that interesting, truly. I'm like, eh. So I had completely surrendered that I needed this thing, or beating myself up because I lost it again. I just let it go. I just let it go. And sometimes we tried to like death grip these things that we want so much. We put so much stress and pressure around it. And I've used this so many times on this podcast is like when we're gripping things so tightly and we're trying to control and we're trying to force and all that kind of stuff. Like God can't put anything new in your hands. And again, we get so tunnel visioned and stressed and all of these things that we can't just be in the flow and things just appear and things just show up when they need to. That is how healing works. It's when you finally let go. It's when you stop searching. It's when you surrender. That's when it shows up. There isn't some magical blueprint of like, well, here's your gift and here's how you're going to use it. It doesn't happen that way. So many of us want it laid out like that before we actually trust. It's like, well, then I'll surrender if I know the plan. God's like, I'm sorry, that does not work that way. Nice try though. It doesn't work that way. This is how healing works. This is how manifestation works. And this is how emotional regulation works too. There's no way you can receive the messages or the love, any of those things when you are in fight, flight, or freeze all the time. When you are frantic, when you are stressed, when you are worrying, nothing can come to you in that state. You can do affirmations all day long in the freaking mirror. It doesn't matter if you still don't feel worthy of them. If you haven't surrendered to the fact that you can't force outcomes. And it was so interesting. Last weekend, Arlo and I were playing Chutes and Ladders, and he got pretty upset every time he found himself going down a chute. And of course, me being his mother was like, Arlo, the game isn't over yet. You have no idea. You shift your energy, you let go of the outcome of this game, you might find yourself going up that super tall ladder in the middle of it. The game is not over yet, buddy, unless you say it is. And I'm like, and sometimes those setbacks can lead to that breakthrough. Like, what if you went down this chute, but then that got you to that really tall ladder and you just went up 2 extra rows? But if you would have stopped at that one setback, that one little chute that took you down, then the game's over. I'm like, do you want the game to be over? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. Then we need to learn, embrace these little setbacks and get excited about how you're going to come back. But you also need to release the outcome. What is the goal of this game? Is it to win or is it to have fun? And it was interesting. So then, he lost the first one and again, wasn't super happy, but we came back, we rallied and we played again. And I was, I caught myself in this moment because I wanted him to win, right? I wanted him to like get this lesson and he didn't. And I was like, this is like pouring salt on the wound. But like, no, this is good. This is good. This is good that this happened. And he goes to me, he's like, Mom, how come you keep winning? And I said, Arlo, because I'm not attached to the outcome. I just want to have fun with you. So my energy around this is very different than yours. I just want to have fun. So then what does he do? He goes and grabs these heart sunglasses, puts them on, playing game 3 with these sunglasses on. Like he did that himself to shift his energy. Like, okay, I need to have fun. I need to get silly. And if these glasses are going to help me do it, so be it. I didn't even tell him to do that. I was like, it's like, who knew Chutes and Ladders could be such another great life metaphor and a teaching moment for us and for our kids. And yeah, you're going to get knocked down, but it's how you get back up. And if you can release the outcome of whatever this gift or purpose or thing is, and just focus on the fun along the way, about figuring yourself out along the way. Like, I still don't know what God has planned for me. I still don't know exactly how this podcast is gonna continue and grow and all of these things. I just keep trusting that I'm gonna keep showing up. One of these days we'll make one of these go viral and maybe we'll get some sponsors and things. But I still don't fully know. And I've released the outcome that I even need to know. Because again, when I talk about F45, it was a year ago that the doors closed. That people showed up for a workout and there was a lock on the door. And no one knew what they were going to do. And that following Tuesday, I had a walk scheduled with Andrea already before all this even happened. And I remember saying to her, like, maybe you should open the gym. Not even on my radar that I would even be a part of that. Those conversations didn't start until mid-December. So a year ago, being a part of that gym wasn't even on my radar. I had no idea that God had that in store for me. It was just trusting that whatever is meant to come my way will come my way. And I will know with certainty. I didn't even question it. When that moment came and I'm having the conversation with Andrea in the coffee shop and she's asking me if I want to help and do nutrition stuff there, I was like, absolutely. But then when she started talking about other investors and other partners, when I found myself leaning in and feeling this FOMO, I had to listen to that. Like, that was real and it was intense. I'm like, I need to be a part of this. And I'll never forget calling up my dad and telling him that exact same thing. And he's like, you need to go for this. He's like, this makes total sense, Tami. Like, why wouldn't you be a part of a gym? But again, my ego could create all kinds of stories about a million reasons why. But I had to trust and I didn't question it at all, whether or not I should do this. Do I know the outcome of it yet? Am I continuing to trust all along the way every day when I show up? Absolutely. But if I were so tunnel visioned on what I thought this plan had to be, when I was only looking in this one spot for whatever this opportunity has to be, I'm only looking in this one career, or I'm only looking for this certain type of partner, you might miss all of these other opportunities out there. So maybe rather than focusing on what you went to school for, what if you started to look for things that actually inspire you, things that related to your hobbies, things you could get lost in forever, things that you could talk about all day long? Like, what if you put your energy there? Like, oh, well, that's maybe not where I got my degree. I got my degree in nutrition. And while I love nutrition, I do not want to talk about vitamins and all this, the Krebs cycle and shit. That is not me at all. Then we'll talk about the emotional stuff around eating. I'm your girl. But I had to let that go because I remember thinking that too. When I started getting more into inner child work and starting to get a further away from meal plans and stuff like that, I really struggled with that. I'm like, you paid a lot of freaking money for that degree and those two little letters behind your name, RD. Like, yeah, I know. And I know it was for a reason. And I will trust that if it's meant to come back around into my world, it will. And it is come February. But I had to let that go because I was going to miss all these other things. And sometimes I think about even, again, people, whether it's friendships or it's a partner, a spouse. We have this idea and this list of things that we want. And it may not look at all like that. God's like, that list is really cute, but that's not who I'm bringing to you. I'm going to bring someone that's maybe your complete opposite, doesn't make any sense on paper, but we'll see how much you trust. So, where do you maybe need to surrender to allow some magic to come through, to allow what's meant for us to actually become visible? So, to wrap up the earbud portion of this, what if what you're looking for is already within you? What if it's right in front of you? You know, we chase healing, we chase answers, we chase people, we chase validation, we chase this sense of worthiness. But little did you know, all of that, everything that you need is already within you. I'm going to wink. And I'll refer back to this episode in a month or two from now when you'll understand why that makes sense. Because what if the earbud is a metaphor for the thing we think we lost? Self-trust, self-love, inner safety, connection, hope, belief, dreams, your gift. What if it's right there in front of you? What if it's already within you? Could you entertain that possibility rather than searching outside of yourself frantically? Where is it? Where is it? Well, guess what? You're never going to find it outside of yourself. Because maybe the whole thing is that you're waiting to be remembered. You're waiting to be remembered. Your soul is waiting to be remembered. Your inner child is waiting to be remembered. All you got to do is reach down and pull it out of your pocket, pull it out of your heart, pull it out of you. You know, sometimes the universe, God delay clarity, I have found. And it's not as punishment, sometimes it's protection. So maybe we need to grow through the waiting. I needed to get to that place of surrender and releasing the outcome, because then you can see things differently after the pause, right? If I would have found that earbud immediately, I wouldn't have had all of these epiphanies about what it really meant. But that pause, that delay created this podcast, created this like, oh my gosh, what if it's right there? And my old stories, my old conditioning have been blocking me this whole time. I wouldn't have gotten that message if I would have found that right away. So maybe you can even start to be grateful for the delay, grateful for the pause. What can you be doing in the meantime? It's not just sit on your ass and hopefully it shows up. You keep doing the work, you keep showing up, and then you trust that when you're ready, that clarity will come, that download will come. And I just think this is such a cool example of how healing can happen in these little moments. And that it isn't this big ayahuasca ceremony or a therapy session. Sometimes it's these normal, mundane things in life that when you unplug yourself from the matrix and you wake up and you can see all of these things around you, like, oh my gosh, that dang earbud that just blew my freaking mind of what the message really was. So sometimes it's found in pockets and bathrobes and in missed details, in these soft, quiet moments, in the pause after giving up. So the second part of today's channeled message is brought to you by my boots. Yes, my winter boots. So the backstory behind this is that last year I finally bought myself a new pair of boots. This is where my worthiness wound shines real bright, and then I have a hard time buying myself new things, and I will wear them to the death. And so I had a pair of winter boots with a hole in them, and I go snowshoeing, and I'm like, this is not a great idea. You need to get yourself a new pair of boots. So I finally did, order this cute little pair, feeling all fashionable and things. And when I wore them last year, I remember I was shopping with Aria because she was going to use up all of her birthday certificates or whatever. And so I remember being in Target, walking around with these boots. And again, they're looking all cute and things. And I remember getting home and my toe hurt, not my big toe, the one right next to it. And I was just kind of like, oh, like, was it from those boots? And then whatever. And then I kept wearing them. Then all of a sudden it dawned on me, like, I think it must be these boots. Like maybe they're just a little bit too small and therefore jamming my toe somehow. Well, then it got to a point where it sidelined me. My toe hurt so bad. I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything that made me bend my toes at all. So, like lunges or again, running, any of that stuff, I couldn't for months. For months because this stinking toe got so bad. And I'm thinking, like, what did I do to this thing? And I kept thinking of all these workouts. I'm like, was it because of this? Was it because of that? Like, what the hell happened? Like, it hurt a freaking toe. And I remember telling people, like, I must have turf toe. And it made me laugh because I remember when I used to watch football back in the day, and they'd always talk about the injury reports. And if someone was sidelined with turf toe, I was like, really? Like, that seemed like such a weenie injury. And I was like, oh, no. I get it now. That freaking hurts. And so I've had this stupid toe injury literally for a year now. A year this thing has been causing me pain. I finally started to get some relief when I started to go to Dr. Mike through ProCare Sport and Spine. Shout out. And I never even thought to go to a chiropractor to fix my toe. But whenever he does, somehow it actually started getting better, which blew my mind because I was also at the same time starting at F45 where we're doing all kinds of lunges and jumping around and things that I could not have done months before this. It also kind of made me think about, is there some spiritual aspect to this? Because it didn't make sense that I was now doing all of these extra things on my feet, on my toes at F45, lunging and jumping and burpees and all these things that I could not do before. And I was like, was this a sign that I needed to shift some energy around? Maybe. Whatever the case, it started getting better. And I really haven't had any major issues with it. It's not 100% healed yet, but to the point where it hasn't bothered me. I almost have to pinch it to feel the pain. And so we get all this snow on Saturday, right? But on Friday, look at me already thinking ahead. My intuition's like, yeah, so Saturday something's going to happen. But don't worry, your new boots, your new boots are coming on Tuesday. So Black Friday deals, I'm like, I need to get some new boots because I remember those ones from last year, I think hurting my toe. I think they were just a touch too small. So I ordered myself some new boots, but they're not coming until Tuesday. So what do? Yesterday, I'm walking the dog and I put those old boots back on just for a very short period of time. I come back in and my toe hurts like it hasn't hurt in months. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. These freaking boots. And my toe, even today, I'm like, no, it's super sore. But luckily, I go see Dr. Mike this week. So I'm like, fix this. I won't ever wear those damn boots again. Thank goodness I got new boots coming. But again, immediate, boom, download, life lesson, share this. That's, again, I don't know why. That's just how I work. So the message in that for me was that one, time does not heal all wounds. It does not, especially when the source of pain doesn't change. The boots were exactly the same as they were last year. I chose to put them back on, knowing that they caused pain all last year and that it set me back for months. I knew all of that. But for some reason, I thought, oh, it can't be that. I didn't even think about it. I had it in the back of my mind, but I was like, well, it's just a short little walk. There's no way it could bring back up that kind of pain. Well, sure as shit it did. And so, yeah, I'm taking this to inner child stuff. I'm taking this to all of the triggers and all the things that cause us pain that we keep going back to because it's right there, because it's convenient, because it was comfortable when it obviously was not comfortable and actually caused more pain. The boots never changed. They were never gonna change. I had to be the one to do all this healing work all this year. So that way, that one short little exposure was enough for me to be like, never again. Sometimes we need that little reminder to see how far we've come and that we're no longer going to settle for boots that are a little bit too small and that cause pain, but you paid for them, so you should wear them and you should get some use out of them. No. And again, I'm hoping that you're translating this to other things in your life. It's obviously not about the freaking boots. But we go back to the sources of pain, expecting them to be different. But if they haven't done the work, if they haven't changed some aspect of who they are or how they react, how they project or how they neglect or whatever it is, if that hasn't changed, why are you expecting a different outcome? That's on you to be like, no, I'm never putting those boots on again. I'm never putting myself in that situation again. I can't go back to this job that has caused me nothing but stress and pain and relationships and whatever it was, years of my life, joy out of my life. I can't keep going back to that. It is obviously the source of my pain. Why do I keep going back? And I know it's because your ego tells you that there's safety and comfort and stability there. But is it worth the cost of the pain it's causing you? Like, that's just where we've got to really look at things. And again, going back to surrender, are you going to surrender that constant, steady paycheck so that way your soul isn't dying anymore and you're not constantly triggering yourself and not living a happy, fulfilled life? Because for some reason, this sense of stability in this paycheck outweighs that? No. But that's where you got to tap into your strength, your faith. Because if you have trust and you say you believe and you say you have faith and you say that you trust, prove it. And maybe that's all God is waiting for you is to prove it. Like, you say you trust, you go to church, but here you are, still doing the same old things that cause you pain. How much more do you want? What is it going to take for you to stop putting on that boot? To stop going back to that person, to stop pouring into this marriage, to stop pouring into that friendship, to stop going back to that job. Whatever it is, how much pain is it gonna take? And if that person or that job or that boss or that thing isn't ever going to change, then you have to remove yourself. You have to choose different. I could wish that boot to expand and to grow all at once. Like, come on, boot, can you just grow? Can you just heal? Can you just create a little bit more room in there for my toe so it feels comfortable, so I feel comfortable? Can you just change for me? That's asking a lot of a boot who is a boot. And maybe The people in your life that are coming up for you right now as I'm talking about this, and they're probably right there in your forefront. And man, it's probably already bringing up feels and emotions because they're probably people you really, really love. But maybe they aren't meant to evolve in this lifetime. Maybe they aren't meant to wake up in this lifetime. And maybe who they are is who they are right now. And you can love them for that, but that doesn't mean that you have to keep putting that boot on. That doesn't mean you have to keep settling for one earbud. And maybe you making that choice to no longer put that boot on is the thing that could actually wake them up, to get them to change. But you are denying them that gift because you are playing it safe, because you are afraid to change. When really unplugging could be the biggest catalyst for both of your healing, for both of your expansion. But I cannot wish that boot to be anything other than a boot. And we can try, and we can try, and we can try. But I look back and I wasted a year of not being able to do what I wanted to do because of that stinking toe injury. Because I had created this story about these boots and my childhood wounds made me continue to put them on back then because I didn't want to seem wasteful. This is what I signed up for. This is what I bought. These are the vows I signed. This is the contract I signed. But guess what? It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit anymore. And maybe it never did. Maybe you tried to force it from the beginning. That's what I did. I forced that boot to fit. And my toe screamed at me like, whoa, this does not fit. Be like, well, it's gonna be like Cinderella and the ugly stepsisters. I'm gonna get the booger to fit. Just like the career that was never meant for you. Just like the relationship that was meant for you. You forced it to fit. You forced it to work because of society's conditioning and what they told you should do. Whatever group or religion or whatever the thing is told you had to be and told you should do. Is that working for you? Does that actually fit for you? Is the life that you're living, oh, it's 222, work for you? Does it fit who you truly are? Does it fit your soul? Does it fit your inner child's dreams and passions? Does any of it fit? Because if it doesn't, it's creating pain. And maybe it's not a direct pain in your freaking toe, but maybe it's deep internal pain that is going to manifest physically. And maybe it's manifesting in the way that you react to people and you become sharp or you become distant. You close yourself off. You start shutting down. You develop health issues because you have suppressed this pain of not being who you truly are. You've suppressed this pain of not going after what you truly want. So maybe you're not feeling the pain as direct and immediate as I did, but it's still there. When we deny our soul's calling, it's painful. And you're going to end up feeling it one way or another. And I hope that you can course correct and realize that you are worthy of more. You are worthy of a pair of boots that fit, that are comfortable, truly comfortable, that allow you to move in the way that you want to move. Do the things that you want to do, that don't limit your life, that don't hold you back, in whatever the cost. Right? Here I was trying to find cheap-ass boots because that's what I felt like I was worthy of. Like, and that wasn't obviously the issue. It was a size issue. That's what she said. I'm keeping that in there. Wow. What do you keep going back to that keeps causing pain? And when are you going to be willing to address the source of the pain? And again, it may not be the person. It's that person triggers your childhood wound. I did this in my marriage. At first, I wanted to blame him for not reading my mind or for making me feel a certain way. And as soon as I flipped that mirror and thought, oh, I'm allowing this. Why am I allowing myself to feel this way? Why am I letting his energy affect my energy? And that's when I found inner child work and everything changed. Because I saw the source of my pain. It wasn't actually him. He was another test. And said, at what point are you going to realize where this is truly coming from and this wound? and all of the fears, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, but also this deep wound, in that he was just a mirror to me on the things that I hadn't healed yet, the things I wasn't willing to see yet. But if I just outsourced all of that onto him, that's not fair. And if I would have done that and just continued to blame him, I wouldn't have gone within and done this healing work. And so when you think about that thing in your life right now that's causing you pain, look at it, observe it, but get curious about why. Why is that thing causing me pain? Is it because I don't feel seen? I don't feel heard? I don't feel valued? Okay, take that, breadcrumb it back to when was the first time that you felt that way? And it's likely going to take you right back to some moment in your childhood. And maybe you don't have a lot of memories either. But oftentimes, if you just start getting curious, that path will show up. Those answers will come. The clarity will come, but you have to get curious first. Like, okay, this current boss of mine is triggering the you know what out of me. It's not about my boss. What is it about my boss that is triggering me? Is it the way that he talks to me in that tone, or condescending, or is passive aggressive? Okay, apparently there's something with that. It's not about him. He's showing me something. Where can I take that back? And all of a sudden you'd be like, oh my gosh, because that's exactly how one of my parents talked to me, how they made me feel. Or maybe it was a sibling or a childhood friend or something. But we've got to start to get curious about that. Look at the source of pain right now. And where did this lie come that time will heal all wounds? Because in many cases, if nothing changes on the other end, only you can be responsible for your healing, for your change, for your growth. You cannot rely on time alone, because that source of pain will still be there if it hasn't changed, if it hasn't undergone the healing process, the metamorphosis. It's still going to be a boot. But until you can step away and doing your own healing, you won't fully understand that and realize that it was never about the boot, and that I needed to feel worthy of things that no longer hurt me. And I'm no longer going to go back, put myself in situations, be around people that I know are going to do that. Can I be open that maybe they have changed? Absolutely. And I hope that is the case. I hope those things, right? But can I rely on them? Can I wait for that? No. But will I always be open to that possibility? Yes. Things can change. People can change. I changed. I healed. I'm still healing. I'm still evolving. So yes, that is possible. But you also cannot wait around for others to do that work for you, or for them to do it for themselves, because they may never. And if you stick around thinking that more time will heal, whose time are you wasting? And whatever is meant for you will circle back around for you. And like I said, maybe the best thing that you could have ever done is pull your energy back, is so that person can see your true value, what you actually meant to them. That your coworkers, that your boss be like, whoa, I didn't realize how much this person actually contributed and how much they brought to the team and how much their energy alone shifted this entire workplace. But do you need to stay plugged into that source of pain and wait for that? No. Nope. You find a better fitting boot and something that honors you and where you're at. So it's interesting to me that pain can oftentimes show us where we're still abandoning ourselves. I abandon my body in honor of those boots. How many times are you abandoning yourself to honor other people, other commitments, others' expectations? Yeah. How about we use pain as the compass? Use pain as the truth and allow it to show you that maybe pain is the doorway out of the setting, and that I am no longer going to put myself in situations or into boots that no longer fit and that actually cause pain. So obviously, neither story was about the earbuds or the boots, right? Now, this is about worthiness. This is about settling. This is about conditioning. This is about our blind spots. This is about our trauma bond and that we'll always go back to the things that were comfortable, that we're used to, even if that meant pain because we were used to pain. And so anything else that feels good just feels weird, when really we need to learn that we deserve so much more, that it's about surrender. It's about trusting yourself, trusting in your higher power, and listening to those nudges. Because what if healing isn't about becoming someone new? What if it's about returning to the part of you who maybe checks the obvious places, like yourself within your heart, or expects things to work out versus always expecting the worst case scenario? That you're someone who chooses comfort over pain because you're worthy. You refuse to settle because your inner child has always believed those things, always believed that you deserved more, that you deserved better. And just because the world taught you to lower your standards, healing is remembering who you were before that, and that you don't need to settle for half anything, that you don't need to subject yourself to pain. Because again, what if the thing you're searching for, the relationship, the clarity, the confidence, the worthiness, the breakthrough, what if it's already in your pocket? What if the pain you're tolerating, the discomfort you're normalizing, the boots you keep putting back on are the very things that keep you from running free? Oof. What if God and the universe are asking for you to stop settling for one earbud and to stop wearing boots that cause pain, so you can finally step into something that fits, something that supports you, and something that actually honors you? Because here's the thing, and here's where I want to wrap it up, is healing is simple. If we were to summarize this podcast, healing can be so simple. It's seeing what's right in front of you, and it's to stop choosing what hurts, and it's to believe that you are worthy of so much more. And maybe that all starts with a lost earbud and a painful pair of boots. But that's up to you, and where you want to take this message, how you want to let it resonate, and what, if anything, you're going to do with it moving forward. Because I don't know about you, but I am done settling for half anything. And I have to look at myself in that as well, not even just from half efforts from people outside of me, but myself. And where am I causing myself pain? So I want to leave you with that. And if something resonated, got you thinking, stirred up some emotion, please let me know. Because those of you that let me know, not that you know this, but I always do send love and light and healing your way when I hear from you. And so whether you're commenting or sending me a private message, please do so. And so I know this message landed with whoever it needed to get to. And if you wouldn't mind, if you've made it this far, liking the episode or rating it, subscribing, all of those things help. And it's such an awesome energy exchange from me to you, to the universe. And so I thank you all for pressing play again. And I want you to tell your inner child that you, for them, will no longer settle and will no longer do things, choose things, say things that would cause them pain. All right, everyone. On that note, next Tuesday, December 9th, is the big old birthday, so we'll see what episode we got coming to you then. But in the meantime, yeah, thank you for pressing play. Grateful for you.